when I was 17 years old. I'm not going through all the things, but anyway, I uh, didn't think anything could happen to me. I was too small to play football. I had to take 2 steps before my pants leg moved. And but anyway, I didn't, and I liked to box, and I had won a lot of titles and school championships, the AAU championship, and I was all the way to winning the Golden Gloves. I had bought my first 4 fights and came right through them, and didn't have a bit of trouble. Did fight twice that night. Make a long story short, on that last fight for the championship, I lost that fight. That was the first one in 41 fights. And oh, like it broke my heart and so forth. Till I look back now, is the best thing the Lord ever did was had me lose, and because I didn't think anything could happen to me. And then after that, a couple of my so-called buddies, they weren't my best buddies, but they were just buddies that we could get along with. And they gave me a call, wondering if I'd like to go out there, going out and do a little catting around a little bit, and wondered if I'd like to ride along. We got all the booze in the car and all of that. So we did that, and we went outside of Tip City. And outside of there's a real sharp curve to the left up by the railroad track. Well, the last thing I got in the back, they were already in the front, and I picked me up. I got in the back seat. And the last thing I heard was, "We're not going to make it." Well, we didn't. And anyway, that car rolled. My head went through the side there to the side window. And to make a long story short, it cut my throat from right here to the jugular vein. So I finally were lucky that there was a house up there playing cards. And I tried to run up there, and I started to pass out, and I thought, I'm going to hell if I do. If I'm going to hell. So the other two, nothing happened to them. And so they come up, got under each arm, took me up there, soaked up a couple of beach towels, and they got me up to the hospital in Troy, Ohio. We went in there and had to wait for a surgeon to come in because they had to cut all that glass out of my neck and so forth. And I remember him saying, I don't know, he said, I'll tell you, somebody, he said, I couldn't have cut that close without nicking the jugular vein. And this is out of an accident. He said, somebody had to be watching over you, son, because this was not, I've never seen anything like this. And he said, I'm going to get all this glass out of there. I'm going to be a while because you got a lot of glass buried down in there. And I can't take a chance of leaving any little piece that would work around in a year or two and work into the jugular vein and you'd be dead. So anyway, we spent a long time. And, my mother came up, and I remember I heard her outside the emergency room. I was in there and the doors were shut. He was working on getting that glass out of my throat. And she said, is he going to make it? And I thought, I'll never forget that. Man, this is getting serious, you know. And then, am I going to make it? At 17 years old, and I've had all these championships I've won and so forth like that. It's cool. And here in boxing and that. And I was one fight away from going to Chicago. If I'd won that last fight, I'd went to Chicago and fought for the championship up there. And so anyway, I learned my lesson, I thought. So I married my wife, and we got married pretty close out of school there. And anyway, as time went on a little bit, we had parties there that a lot of the guys in our senior class, their dads were drunks. They'd hang out at the Eagles and so forth in these clubs, and they were alcoholics. And their sons were too. I mean, they all drank. And anyway, so we had a little poker party, and we do that about every 3 weeks, something like that, or 2 weeks, and get together. And when I say a poker party, I'm talking about it. If you had a bad night, you might have lost $5 or $6, you know. But we just got together there. We always had beer and stuff like that. So anyway, to make a long story short, I had come home, and in fact, in that time after we had our third child, to make a long story short, one of my buddies, well, when it came time to have that again, I said, I'm quitting. So, I guess this was after the time I'm going to tell you about right now. So anyway, in the meantime, I had trusted Christ as my Savior, and so had Margie. And to make a long story short, my buddies called and said, you know, Joe down here on his birthday, he says he wants all of his friends to come and all of the drinks are on him. So they said, boy, you don't pass this one up. So I went. Oh my goodness gracious sakes alive. This was it. So anyway, I got home and we heated in the apartment that we rented at that time. Now you got to remember, this is clear back we 21, 22 years old, and like that. And anyway, we had a coal bin that we heated with coal. Well, I'm knocking on the door and all this and that, and one thing or another. She wouldn't let me in, and finally I ended up and I got in, and then I had to crawl through that coal bin. I looked like a little black Sambo by the time I got up there in the house. And then she says, you're sleeping on the couch. Goes, put a blanket down because you're not sleeping with me tonight. Oh, good night. I laid there and I laid on my side. The wall went around and I looked up and I laid on my back and the ceiling went around. So I think I had one too many. But anyway, to make a long story short, it had been, now this is a short period of time. So it came up after that even that it was my turn to have the men come for a poker party at my house. We always change different houses, so you only do it about once every 3 or 4 months or something like that. So anyway, Margie said, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to put up with this much longer. And I got thinking, you know what? I don't want these 3 boys that we have, 3 beautiful young children. Do I want them to have a drunken father? And then do I want her to get a divorce, and she's beautiful enough, she wouldn't have any trouble getting somebody else, and then I got to pay for that. So if I want to get remarried again, I don't have any money to get remarried or do anything else. I said, I don't stop this whole thing right now. And I told Margie, I said, you just watch. So anyway, I just filled the icebox full of Pepsi instead of beer. That was the last time that they ever said, Younce, where's the beer? I said, right out in the refrigerator. There's nothing out there but Pepsi. I said, that's it, I quit. Well, we are too. So that was the last of the poker party that I was ever invited to. So that did that. But I got I got a wonderful wife. I got 3 wonderful children, and I'm blowing the whole thing. So I'm going to quit all that stuff right now. That's what liquor will do to you. And you know what? When I said I'll quit, that was the hardest thing in the world to do because I had developed a taste for beer. And it was good. I like to have a bottle of beer or a can of beer, whatever you want. But anyway, I survived that and tickled to death to do it. And to make a long story short again and to go on, I thank the Lord for a preacher that had come down to our house, and he had said I didn't like preachers anymore. I had seen enough of the priests out there, drunks and everything else, doing what they're doing, and when I'd be working the night trick on the police department. And anyway, to make a long story short, I decided that I needed to get my act together, and I did.